Hello, Legion. This is Hadrian. Thank you for being here. Let's play some more of The Long Dark in our Hunted Challenge series, mini-series, whatever it is. Okay, so we've stepped outside here. Sorry, if you catch me looking down like that from time to time, that's just because every now and then the slack on my mouse will inexplicably disappear, and I'll suddenly find myself just like not really being able to really move the mouse as much as I would like to. So that's what's happening there. All right, I'm trying to remember where this path takes me. I remember going around this way last time. But I just want to make sure I stay ahead of this horrible animal. Yep. Okay. This is what I did last time. This is what I'm going to do again. Actually, I'm not going to sprint. I don't want to run too much. And actually, if I see the old bear, the first thing I want to have out is a flare. So I'll put this stuff away for now, but I want to have a flare out. That's my first line of defense against this guy right now, because I want to see what happens if I drop a flare. As I mentioned in the previous episodes, it was recommended to me that I throw, but by one of my regular commenters, that I throw a flare. You can't throw flares anymore. Doesn't happen. Doesn't work in the Long Dark. So what you do instead is you drop them. So what I'm going to do is, if I see the old bear, I'm going to light a flare, drop it on the ground, and all I have to do to drop the flare is switch very handily to my flare gun, which is what I want to do anyway, right? Like, okay, I'm going to try this method of deterring you. If this doesn't work, I know my flare gun's going to work. So, it's a very handy little method of doing that. So that's my current plan. So far, I don't see this guy. Which, I'm not going to lie, is a good feeling. But I don't want to get used to it. I mean, I think when I started recording episode 6, which was the first episode of this second attempt, I was a little nervous, just because I could feel the pressure of, okay, I want to make sure I start off well, and that I can have a good shot at the challenge. Because obviously I have an audience, and there are expectations, and there are hopes and dreams, etc. But since then, I'm a little bit less tense, just because I feel a little bit more experienced with the challenge. But I'm also less tense just because I haven't seen the bear for the past half episode or so, in terms of episode time. It's been a while. Didn't even see the bear when I left the zone. When I left Pleasant Valley. And now we are almost, believe it or not, we're almost back to Mystery Lake. Which is nuts. And I'm not going to stop. I'm going to go ahead. I think I have some wood on me. I've got some reclaimed wood. I've got enough to start a fire and warm up by it. And I know the bear doesn't appear in the transition zone. So I'm going to go into the transition zone and start a fire rather than stopping here. And actually on that note, I think what I'm going to do is rest a bit here. Or not rest, but run a bit. Get a little bit of momentum going. Sit behind me, make sure the old bear isn't following. The old bear was not behind me last time I came up this way either. I wonder what its closest spawn point is. Because for those of you who don't realize this, I hate to break it to you, the way the game works is it will spawn the bear closer to you as soon as you go inside. And you don't have any visibility of the outside world. The game will move the bear closer to you in order to keep the tension going. But there have to be... Okay, the wind is now blowing in my face. I joked about this last episode and I shouldn't have. Let's see if I can get to the transition zone. And then I'm going to light a fire. But yeah, I don't know where the bear's closest spawn point is, but it's clearly not up here. Let's head down this way. I said I was going to sprint more, and then I didn't. But now I feel like I have to, kind of. Alright, so we are... Holy crap, we are almost back to Mystery Lake. This has gone quickly. There does not appear to be any bear on my tail at this point. Let's enter the transition zone and start a fire ASAP. Thankfully, all this running has not tired me out too much yet. Leave Coastal Highway. GTFO. All right. All right, we've arrived on the other end of the transition zone. This actually, I was thinking there would be another tunnel, but it's not for a little ways yet. So now I'm going to have to traverse this in wind, which is just lovely. But there's a tunnel coming up, and that's where I'm going to start the fire. So it's okay. I just don't want to get hypothermic while I'm crossing this bridge. Yay for fear of heights. Okay. Alright, 93% condition, 92% condition. I need to get inside, block from the wind, as soon as possible. And then I need to start a fire, because we are hurting. I need to warm up. And I also don't need to be hypothermic. That would be terrible. Right, let's run a little bit. Tunnel's coming up. Ish. Where the hell is the tunnel? I forgot it was this far. Good God. I've lost all sense of, like, the scope of this transition zone. Get me inside, please. Alright. We're blocked from the wind in here. Although it doesn't look like it. Still looks like there's wind everywhere. But I'm gonna go a little bit farther here. Okay. Are you serious? Okay, there we go. Wasn't letting me select a good starting spot. Come on now. What's your issue? There's one. There we go. Okay. Wood matches. Tinder plug. We're going to start a book on fire because those light the fastest. Wow, this is actually taking surprisingly fast. Oh, I should have used accelerant, but I want to have accelerant on hand for if I need to start a fire to scare the bear. So it's fine. The book's got a really good chance of starting, so. Alright, there's that. Looks like we have a successful fire start. Very unlikely to fail at this point. Alright, 12 minutes on the fire. We have some reclaimed wood. An hour's worth. Alright, now the fire is warm enough, thankfully. Let's go ahead and add that to the fire as well. We don't have any heatable food. I don't think I really need to get more water at this point, but I mean, I've got a fire here, so we may as well pass some time by melting some snow. So let's melt 0.4 gallons. Awesome. Alright, so we are warming up slowly but surely. Not as quickly as I would like, to be completely honest. But that's life. So now let's boil the water. Feels like 50 degrees now. So the day is actually warming up a little bit, because the fire wasn't quite keeping us that warm a minute ago. Now, let's finish eating these crackers. Let's also go ahead and drink this Summit soda. Again, because it's super heavy. It's not needed. We don't need something that heavy on us, if at all possible. All right, 53 minutes left on this fire. So here's what we're going to do. We're actually going to sleep here for a bit. Just for... one hour. Hopefully we don't get mauled by a bear, and I'm completely wrong about the transition zone and everything. Okay, 90% condition. We're nice and warm. Let's pick that back up. And we actually got some rest out of that too, which is nice. Let's go ahead and eat this energy bar because its condition is somewhat low, and I want to be able to take advantage of those. All right, let's keep moving. All right, I'm going to do my best not to run from this point forward because I want to try and conserve my energy. Because I actually am envisioning a slight possibility, unless something goes dreadfully wrong, that we might be able to just beeline for the trapper's homestead right now. I don't know if I can do it in 15 minutes, but I'm sure as hell going to try. I'm going to take the usual pit stop off to the right here to check for food and such. Because there is a spot that has some canned food, but then I'm going to keep moving. Also, it was mentioned, how many flare shells do I have left? Yeah, I have 4 flare shells. So I don't really need to stop anywhere to get additional flare shells. I think at this point, I'm in much, much better condition. It was pointed out, you know, and I mentioned this earlier, it was rightly pointed out that I used a lot of flare shells in that last playthrough. Just generally trying to keep the bear away. We've had a little bit more luck this time. So I feel confident. Again, I'm just going to stop and check for that food real quick. Unless the weather turns bad, I think I might be able to make a beeline right now. Yep, here's the food, as expected. Pinnacle peaches, good condition. Pork and beans, didn't check condition, my bad. Alright, let's keep moving. The weather doesn't look or sound great, which is unfortunate. But again, I mean, hey, I am really tired of getting scared by bunnies in the lawn dark. But again, if I actually don't know what I was going to say there. Yeah, the weather doesn't sound great. Oh yeah, what I was going to say is if I have to stop in the dam, then, which would be kind of a last resort thing, but if I had to, it would give me an opportunity to really prepare for just an all-out run across the zone. And then once I was in range of the cabin, even if the bear was on my tail, just sprint with a stim to the cabin. The other thing I'm slightly concerned about is my energy level. I mean, it's not bad, but it's also not great. So I'll have to keep an eye on that. Okay. We are on the Mystery Lake side. Oh, we found some water. How ironic. We are on the Mystery Lake side of the ravine. Now, there's a climbing point over there that if I had rope on me, which I don't, I could set it up and climb down into the ravine. Alright, 7 hours daylight left. If the weather clears, I think I might make a run for it. If we step into Mystery Lake and I start to see sunlight, and I don't see any wind or snow, because right now it's actually close to 32 degrees, which for those of you not used to reading Fahrenheit, that is the freezing point. So 32 or above, that warmth meter is not dropping. So if the weather improves past this point, I will be in a really good spot to just beeline for the damn homestead as fast as I can. I've got 7 hours. That's more than enough time to do it if the weather is okay. I could even do it in this episode. I don't want to get you too excited, because I would hate to say that and then cut this episode. But there's a chance. There's a strong chance. And those of you who have played The Long Dark, you might be sitting here going, yeah, there's a pretty good chance. I'm really glad the bear does not exist in this transition zone. It's a nice reprieve. So another thing I mentioned in the first episode, I was definitely encouraged by a few commenters to travel as quickly as possible, in addition to not wasting flares. And my playstyle is such that I kind of still want to stop in different places, and I do feel that can be a good thing when you need supplies. I think just trying to go all out is probably very, very risky, because you are less likely to have good gear, good clothing, or repaired clothing. You're less likely to have enough food or water if you find yourself in a tight spot. So it's good to stop every once in a while. But there's definitely wisdom in that advice that I received. Because I think you've seen it already in the past 2.5 episodes. I'm making substantially more progress. I mean, I'm about to get to Mystery Lake, for God's sake. And now we're at 32 degrees, so the warmth meter's not going to drop anymore. But the only thing now is what stands between me and the Trapper's Homestead. Could be the bear, could be other wolves, could be weather. So we'll see. Okay. Of course, the weather's not any better here. All right, let's get a flare out. And now we're going to look for the bear. I hear it. There it is. It's up there. All right, so we are going to, tell you what, let's use a little bit of energy here. Let's run this way. Actually, it didn't turn around. It's not responding to my presence, which is very unusual. Normally the bear, especially if you make any kind of movement, as we saw in episode, what was it, 2? When I was near the barn? Or not episode 2, but the second episode of this particular challenge. The bear is very good about catching up to you. And if you're nearby, the second you move, it'll run to catch up with you. Okay, the weather's not great, but it's not horrible either. I just need to keep an eye on this little gap here, because the bear could appear right here if he is running to catch up with me right now, which is possible. He or she could be a she-bear. Yeah, the bear is way over there. So this could be the moment where it maybe catches a glimpse of me and tries to come running. I'm going to run a little bit more. I don't like having this many obstacles around me. Anything that could potentially prevent me from seeing the bear is bad. I'm going to try and keep my eyes forward as well, because wolves like to patrol these tracks. All right, here's actually another point right here. This gap where the bear could come charging up. But yeah, that was really weird. We saw the bear. You might not have seen it. It was up in the trees. Rewind it if you want to. But as of right now... Okay, there's a wolf. As of right now, the bear is not tailing me. And to be completely honest, I'm not quite sure how I feel about it. I'm going to try and stay away from this wolf. I'm so determined to have momentum down these tracks that I'm not paying enough mind to this wolf in its proximity. Alright, the wolf has seen me. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and use this flare to scare off the wolf. Once I am heading more in a direction. Okay, hopefully that'll stop it. Nope, not stopping the wolf. Lovely. Alright, well in that case, we're just gonna start sprinting. Try and put some distance between us and that wolf, because at this point we can't stop. We're so close. And we're actually at the point of potentially being able to sprint. Well, no, we're not at the point yet, but we're closing in on that point. Okay, good. I think the wolf buggered off. Okay, I just noticed a bit of a frame rate hitch, which happens, which can be noticeable when the game is loading something. So the game might have just respawned the bear closer to me. Not sure how that works. If it only happens when we are indoors somewhere, then we're good. So, one of the mistakes I made last time was I stopped there. I'm not going to do that this time. I stopped there and I rested and I got ready. And when I came out, the bear was right here. Now the bear is nowhere to be found. I'm going to keep moving. I'm going to take that advice and I'm just going to go for it. I'm tired. I'm definitely tired. We're at a point where... Actually, let's look at our burden real quick. All right. We're not at a point where we're gonna be slowed down too much as we get more tired. And I mean, regardless of whether I see the bear, I definitely am going to use that stim at the last second because I want to make it. I'm going to try and stay close to the tracks here. Until it's time. So last time the bear was following us this whole way. Now there's no sign of the bear. It's decidedly less tense, but there's still fog, so still scary. Thankfully, we are warm enough. So that is not even a concern right now. 5 hours daylight left. Oh man, this is surprising. Somebody pinch me. Something has to go wrong at this point. The bear is just going to come charging down the tracks like a deranged beast. Like a deranged demon. But it's... so far it's not. That wolf did nothing. Or, I'm sorry, the wolf did nothing when I dropped the flare. What I was going to say is the flare did nothing against that wolf. So that's a little bit concerning. Now, my only other concern is if the bear can be respawned when I am outdoors... Crap, there's another wolf. If the bear can be respawned when I'm outdoors, is the bear even closer now? Because again, last time we were going through these woods, I had the advantage of knowing that the bear was behind me. This time I don't. So I will tell you now that we're back here, one huge mistake that I made was I tried to cross into basically Max's Last Stand, which is when you are still finding your way. It's kind of like my automatic route, like pathfinding. When I am going to the Trapper's Homestead. Here's a dead body here. I'm not going to stop, though. It's kind of like my automatic pathfinding, because when you kind of find your way back into this corner, it's natural to just want to, as this terrain starts to narrow, to kind of cross this hill to your right and go into Max's Last Stand, then hop the next hill. But if you keep going a little bit farther, rather than hopping over this area here into Max's Last Stand, which is what I did, you can actually just you can crest the hill and you're looking at the homestead, which would have enabled me to just start full-out sprinting. Whereas before, I still felt like I was not in a good position to do that. So yeah, if you just keep going down this narrow terrain a little bit farther, this is where you end up. I'm going to stay on the high ground because I want to look for the bear first. There it is. We are at the homestead, and it's also at the 25-minute mark. This is perfect timing. Final stretch. Wow. Holy Mother of God. And the bear is nowhere in sight. Celebratory flare, anybody? Hey bear, come get me. What was that sound? Oh, hi. What's happening? All right, I'm going to go inside. I'm going to beat the challenge because I hear the bear and I'm like, okay. I'm not going to have some random... I'm not going to have some random glitch randomly have a bear come out and attack me. So there it is. 3 days, 7 hours, 54 minutes, and also 3 episodes. Last time took me 5. This time, again, appreciate the encouragement. Move a little bit faster, right? And get things going in that regard. And things will generally go better. I think, okay, let's take a second now that I'm not running for my life. I can breathe. Let's take a second to talk about this challenge just in terms of maybe people who are watching for the first time who haven't attempted the challenge before. I know for a fact that there are a few people that are longtime commenters that, a few people, not just one. There's one commenter in particular that likes to talk about their aversion to these things, and we always have a laugh about it. But there's people that have just mentioned to me in various social media and here that they're not sure about the challenges. They haven't attempted them too much. This was obviously my second attempt, I guess, through the Hunted. But you've seen both of them, and I think that some of the advice that you can see on the previous episodes is quite useful. I think in general, even more so than I typically encourage you to play if you're watching my stuff in the Long Dark, keep moving. That's the number one thing for succeeding in this challenge, is to not feel like you have to hunker down. I think the Long Dark kind of gives you this habit of, oh, hey, I found a new indoor place. Let me stop here and rest for a bit and explore it, make sure I've picked up all the loot, let me regain some condition, and then I'll leave. No, you have somewhere to be, and the more you can stay ahead of the bear, as we saw in this last episode, the better off you're going to be. So definitely keep moving, even more so than usual. The other thing I would say is do be mindful of your flares. And again, this is advice. I'm parroting advice that was given by commenters. But I think it was good advice. Make sure that you are not putting yourself in a position to be firing on the bear very often in the beginning of your run. Really try and get some momentum going. It helps to know where you're going, by the way. So really don't attempt the Hunted Challenge if you're not familiar with Pleasant Valley and Coastal Highway and Mystery Lake. I mean, it helps so much to know where you're going, particularly if you know how to get to Mystery Lake from Pleasant Valley, because there is a route. Obviously, I don't know that as well, so I've avoided it twice. But in general, staying moving and not stopping helps keep you also in a better position to not use those flares so much. And as you guys saw, I actually didn't fire a flare in this series until I got to the end. That flare that I fired was the only one that I fired for the entire run. And that brings me to the last point, which I definitely learned from the first run. Understand the way the bear's behavior works. If you are confident that you can backpedal away from the bear and that you can maintain momentum, you're not going to bump into anything, and all of a sudden the bear's going to get just close enough to you to where it stands up and starts to charge, then don't let your anxiety take control. It's a scary situation. The game it's designed to be an intimidating challenge. It's an intense challenge. I mentioned in my first few episodes during my first attempt, I haven't felt this tense playing the Long Dark ever. But understand that as long as the bear is just kind of stalking you, you can you can have it as long as you have eye contact with it and you're sure there's not like a wolf behind you. You can keep your back turned to where you're moving, keep your eyes locked on the bear, and just backpedal until you say get to a house or the exit of a zone or something like that. So don't necessarily feel that, oh God, the bear is after me, I need to shoot a flare, because that's one of the things that caused me to lose flares before. Know when you have the opportunity, okay, if I can just have this bear trail me for just a second, I might not have to waste a flare right now, which can help you save your resources until the very end. So those are just some general thoughts on how the challenge went. And again, if you're newer to it, those are some thoughts on how you can beat it. But I would say first and foremost, of all the things I just mentioned and parroted some of the stuff from other commenters, of all the things, I would say the most important thing is familiarity with the terrain. So maybe don't attempt the hunted challenges until you have a strong sense of knowing where you're going to go, because the Long Dark is freaky enough when you don't know where you're going. I've always said that's like the best time to be playing the game, is like you're struggling for survival and you don't know what's over the next hill. It's wonderful. But when you try to incorporate that kind of naivete, or when you're not familiar with the map because you haven't played enough, with diving into the hunted, I mean, if you're a thrill seeker, go for it. But just understand, like, you benefit tremendously from knowing your way around in this challenge. So that's the main thing. So yeah, in the next episode, I'm going to tackle the hunted part 2, but we'll save that for next time. Thanks very much for watching. If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to follow along. Oh, that's a really good stretch. And subscribe to follow along. If you're not subbed already, I upload new episodes in the Hunted Challenge series every day at 6 Eastern Standard Time, which is GMT-5 for those of you not in the States. And comments are always welcome. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you in part 2.